What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show presented by Sleeper. Today, your Portland Trail Blazers finally get a home victory as they defeat the Boston Celtics 114 to 108 behind good second halves from a number of players as the Blazers finally are able to win one of these close games that they have been dropping lately. We're going to break it all down for you here on the post-game show. We're going to talk about Tamandi Kamara, who woke up offensively in the second half. We're going to talk about Donovan Clingan, who continues to play great basketball for your Portland Trail Blazers. We're going to talk about Shaedon Sharpe, who has a good three-point shooting game and leads the Blazers with 26 points in this one. Deni Avdija continues to fill up the stat sheet. The Blazers continue to turn the ball over, so there's some good, there's some bad to talk about from this game, but the Blazers today capitalize, beating a good Eastern Conference team. The Celtics 19-11 coming into Portland today, and the Blazers were able to get a win in Anthony Simons' return game. Portland capitalizes on a great opportunity today as two teams that they're chasing in the standings, the Memphis Grizzlies and Golden State Warriors, lost today. The Grizzlies lost to the Washington Wizards, and the Warriors lost by 14 in overtime in Toronto against the Raptors. We're going to talk about the standings, take a look at that. Thank you guys for making us a part of your Sunday evening. Eric, what's going on, man? How are you doing?
I'm good. Nice to see the Blazers win. If we're a little distracted too, we probably both have our eye on the 49er game, which is going on right now. Huge game for them. McCaffrey just had a huge run down the sideline, and they win. They set up a game next week against a lot of your favorite team, the Seattle Seahawks, for the division and the number one seed in the NFC. So big game for the 49ers right now.
Yeah, I have a TV in this room and I rarely use it. This is like the time that I use it when I'm streaming and there's another game that I want to watch. Unfortunately, during the off season, I wasn't able to really get Mariner games on the TV, so I rarely use this thing. But now's a perfect opportunity. We got the post game show, got the Niners game on the TV, some Sunday night football. But excited to break down this win. Excited to break down a win, man. Last stream, I think it was pretty obvious. I was just legitimately tired of losing, bothered by the losing. Yes, it was only a 3-game losing streak. The Blazers are capable of far more, as we've seen it in years prior. But this was a needed win. 5-game homestand. They dropped the first 3. The first 2 were winnable. And then against the Clippers, they get ran out of the gym in the second half. They played well until the end of that game and then just completely faded. And this game was a little bit of the opposite. It was a back and forth game, but the Blazers really made a strong run there at the end, forced a couple turnovers at the end of this game that were able to secure a win, and was just very pleased with the fact they were able to dig out a win and gain a game on the Grizzlies and the Warriors in the standings, and just happy that they weren't staring the possibility of going 0-5 on a homestand tomorrow night when they take on the Dallas Mavericks.
Touchdown.
How long ago did he score that? How hard? I don't know if you're ahead of me or not.
It was like 2 seconds ago.
You're gonna have to delay your reactions like a
All
second,
right.
one singular second. But beautiful scenes. Anyway, speaking of beautiful scenes, it's always a beautiful scene when Eric gets collab cammed. You got collab cammed, by the way.
Gosh, dang it.
When I said beautiful scenes, you immediately cut out. It was kind of
Dang
ironic.
it.
Anyway, what's your thoughts on this game, man?
Well, the Blazers have been reeling a little bit, and I was so sick of hearing the rhetoric about, like, oh, they don't have a point guard right now. What are they supposed to do? Of course they're going to lose these games. If you watch the games, they've been in games. They've been winnable. They've hurt themselves with some of their own mistakes, some of their own schemes, some of their own coaching decisions, things like that. And we've said it before, it's not an excuse when you're in a game that you have a chance to win. Like, you can't then say afterwards, well, we didn't have a point guard. So, like, if they would have made a mistake and lost this game. So I was really happy that they took care of business, actually forced 2 players that normally don't crumble in that situation, mainly Derek White, with 3 bad plays there towards the end of the game. And it pretty much cost the Celtics a win here. So the Blazers get 3 turnovers there. They did a horrible job of taking care of the ball in the first half. and I thought that was going to come back and bite them, but they kind of cleaned that up in the second half. After starting the game, back-to-back possessions, first two possessions, Sharp gets a turnover and Denny gets a turnover, and then they each have a turnover a couple possessions later. So they each had two turnovers in the first like 7 possessions or so of this game. And you're just like, oh my gosh, you cannot do that against this Celtics team. They were getting out and running. We weren't getting back in transition. And Blazers, shout out to them. They cleaned some stuff up at halftime and were the ones that actually made some adjustments in this one. And it came back to provide dividends in the end.
What do you think they did a good job of that second half in terms of the adjustments they made and how they cleaned things up?
Well, one is I didn't really see him run zone in the second half. That stupid ass zone.
Let's just start there. This is a very small discussion because they
Right.
didn't run it in the second half, like I
Yes.
asked, man. So I had
Thank
a
you.
tweet right at the start of this game. I'll describe the play in case you don't know what play I'm talking about. I'll describe the play a little bit if I didn't describe it already in the tweet. But I had this tweet right at the start of the game. I said, Tiago, Nate, or whoever. I don't know who's responsible for calling the zone. We know Nate Bjorkgren runs the defense, but obviously Tiago's the head coach. So whoever is responsible for the schemes. I said, please stop running this garbage 3-2 zone. It puts Klingon in a position where he has to close out on Jaylen Brown in the corner and leaves no help behind him. It makes zero sense and constantly gets torched, but we still try it. Tom, save us. Obviously, an ode to incoming owner Tom Dundon. But when you have a rim-protecting 5-man, you want him around the rim. And every time we switch to this 3-2 zone with Klingon in the game, it drives me crazy. Because essentially, if you can bring the ball to one side of the floor and load the zone up on that side of the floor and then swing it around to the corner, it forces Klingon to close out on corner shooters who then can attack him and get by him, and then there's no help behind him, and that's exactly what happened. The first play they switched to a zone, you have Klingon closing out on Jaylen Brown in the corner, and he beats him off the dribble, and there's no rim protection behind him because you had your rim protector closing out on the corner shooter by design. You're running a zone, a 3-2 zone. At least the 2-3 zone keeps that middle guy around the rim. A 3-2 zone with Donovan Klingon to the game made absolutely no sense to me. So I like that they didn't try that. I just wish they would stop trying zone at this point, and they didn't do it in the second half, and they had a good defensive second half.
Yeah, I tweeted at almost the exact same time as you. So our tweets in the timeline were like right next to each other. So mine was just basically talking about the turnovers and the zone defense, and that's a brutal start when you get basically scored on because you're in a stupid defense and then you're turning the ball over on one end. And so, yeah, shout out to them both fixing that in the second half, not turning the ball over as much. I want to say they had like 5 turnovers in the second half, which is very good. And then, yeah, the defense was awesome in the second half. They really did a nice job of pressuring a little bit in the second quarter. It reared its ugly head again, Tori, that we got a bunch of stupid fouls. We're in the penalty with like 6 something left in the quarter. And Boston, I don't know how many free throws they ended up shooting in that quarter, but they ended up, getting us into foul trouble. And Tamani had a bad foul. Actually, it might have been the third quarter because no, it was the second quarter. The Blazers were going that way. But yeah, so I just thought the second half they stayed much more solid. They stayed home a lot more. They played more man, and it paid dividends. They did pressure Jaylen Brown a little bit. I thought Tamani was better guarding him in the second half. Obviously, he went off for 27 in the first half and didn't do a whole lot in the first half, and then didn't do a whole lot in the second half. But yeah, just overall, I thought the team defense was pretty good. It does help when Celtics miss a ton of 3-point shots. Derek White pretty much shot them out of the game in this one, going 2 for 10 from the field. The Blazers almost give it back with their free throw shooting in this one. They were 8 of 17 at one point. Made a few at the end to make that number a little better, but the free throw shooting was horrendous in this game. And I said a few weeks ago that I don't like to blame like missed free throws in the fourth quarter as like a reason for losing or winning a game. But the free throw situation is a problem lately, and it is costing them what could have been maybe an easier victory, or like if the Celtics don't turn the ball over there at the end, or make, if they would have made a play and Donovan doesn't get that rebound or something and we lose this game, I mean, it would have been the free throw shooting that would have been once again one of the main issues in this one.
Yeah, I don't know what they got to do to fix it other than just get in the gym and work on free throws, but it's some good free throw shooters or solid free throw shooters lately that are really struggling from the free throw line. Denny Avdia goes 5 for 10. But then beyond that, it's Klingon goes 1 for 2, and he had been shooting decently from the free throw line, but it's a small sample. Shane Sharp goes 1 for 2. Tamani goes 2 for 3. Chris Murray doesn't shoot free throws well. He's not one of those guys that I'm talking about when I say they shoot free throws well. He goes 1 for 2. So it's just like a collective issue lately. It's not any one guy, and there's no one guy that's immune to it.
Well, they're all shooting like Chris Murray.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically anybody that's at the free throw line right now in a late game near the end of it, I don't have faith in, unfortunately. And 12 for 21 from the free throw line. The Blazers are just not cashing in opportunities, which is frustrating because they get to the line a decent amount. They didn't really do it in this game, but they didn't really do it in this game. They still didn't cash in, right? If you're going to be one of the highest free throw rate teams in the league, and that's going to be a big part of your offense, you would like to make more free throws, but 57%, abysmal from the charity stripe for the Blazers today. Denny Avdia, 5 for 10. He's been kind of struggling, it feels like, from the free throw line lately. I don't know what the percentage is in the last however many games, but it does feel like he's been in a little bit of a slump from the free throw line. Would like for him to knock down more free throws because he certainly gets there. He had almost half the Blazers free throw attempts in this game. So those are just points you're leaving on the board. Like, you knock down 19 free throws, you win this game by double digits, and you win this game really going away. Instead, it's a close game, and there's been far too many close games where the Blazers are leaving some points at that free throw line. So that's definitely something that needs to improve soon. It needs to fix itself soon because that's how you win basketball games, is by not wasting opportunities, whether it's from the charity stripe, whether it's just offensive possessions, not turning it over. And the Blazers with the turnovers, the missed free throws, are just kind of wasting opportunities offensively right now, where they have been, I believe, shooting the three ball a little bit better. You know, Tamani's had a couple decent games lately, even though he's still a little inconsistent. Sharp, of course, lately has been shooting a good three ball. Donovan Klingon lately has been shooting a good three ball. So you have some guys stepping up and making threes, but when you're wasting opportunities from the free throw line and with the turnovers, it's not a recipe for winning basketball games. Now, when you're able to force 20 turnovers and get some of those misses back on the offensive glass, 15 offensive rebounds, okay, that's how you make up for it and win this basketball game, but it would be nice to be able to do that considering that's part of the Blazers' identity without 21 turnovers and without shooting 57% from the free throw line.
Yeah, but ultimately you've got to clean that up because missed free throws. A lot of people in chat talking about that. Lamar mentioned on the broadcast the style of plays leading to them being tired in the fourth quarter. But in this particular game, I mean, that could have been the excuse for some of the games, but this particular game, they shot bad the whole game. I think they were shooting bad going into the fourth quarter too. So it wasn't a case of necessarily being tired, although that could come into play. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just gonna say this, man. You're supposed to be able to make free throws when you're tired near the end of a game. Mm-hmm. Like, you're supposed to be tired at the end of a game. If you're a starter and you're not at least somewhat tired by the end of the game, you're probably not playing hard enough. So I don't buy that excuse at all. Like, when you work out, when you practice, the best thing to do, and you can wrap this up in conditioning, you want to shoot free throws when you're tired because that simulates, the end of games where you're not going to be fresh, man. I don't like that excuse at all. You're going to be tired near the end of games if you're playing hard enough, and you're still going to have to find a way to make free throws. And plenty of teams still make clutch free throws at a better rate than it seems like Portland does, even though they're probably also tired at the end of games. So there's no excuses for the free throw shooting. It needs to be better. Like, the attitude shouldn't be to make excuses for the free throw shooting. Denny gets 2 free throws after a review and misses both.
Man.
And I know he got hit in the head, so maybe that affected him. But, like, he literally got a break right before that, comes out of a review break and misses 2 free throws. That's just not ideal and not excusable. I'm not going to be too hard on guys for missing free throws because it's not like they're trying to miss free throws. It's not like an effort issue or anything like that. But at some point, you got to start knocking down these free throws.
Yeah, and that almost cost us the game, not just the missed free throws, but you get a flagrant foul, you get two shots and possession, and we come away with 0 points on that possession. That would have killed us if we lost that game. Not even getting 1 point out of having basically 3 opportunities to score on that one. But the thing is, Denny in particular, as chat also points out, misses a lot of his short late in the games. And it's just got to be an adjustment to where you got to shoot them harder. you can't leave them short. And if you're tired and you know you're leaving them short, and it's consistently happening, you have to adjust. Yeah, to me, professional athletes shouldn't be able to. A free throw should be easy whether you're tired or not. If you're getting paid this much money to play a sport for a living.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys should be in great shape at this point in the season. If it's early in the season, and that's one of the things in game like 3 where guys aren't in game shape and they play a hard fought game and it goes to overtime and you're missing free throws at the end of overtime. Okay, sure, I can buy that a little bit, but it's game 32. You should be in game shape at this point. Yeah, it's not. I don't like the attitude that, in order to play hard, we have to give up some from the free throw line. Like, no, make your freaking free throws and play hard as you should.
Yeah, and people are pointing out too that he's shooting pretty well in the season, but it has tailed off lately. He was shooting much better into this stretch here. He had like a 9 for 15 game recently or something like that. Yeah. And now tonight, not very good. But yeah, so it does lead maybe into the minutes conversation. Denny plays over 38 minutes tonight. They are playing a ton of minutes. Unfortunately, we pretty much have to play them a lot of minutes. So, I mean, that could have something to do with it, I guess. But yeah, I just hope once we start to get some of these guys back, hopefully at some point, one of these players that are missing all these games get to come back. But at some point, hopefully we can start to limit Denny's minutes a little bit, play him a couple minutes less than 38, and then maybe he's a little fresher to hit those free throws at the end.
Yep, 1000% agree. What else jumps off the page as we look at the team stats here?
Normally Boston's a pretty good passing team. To hold them to 19 assists and to turn them over 20 times, I thought was pretty good. The Blazers did a good job of matching at least points off turnovers. That's usually not the case for them. So even though they only have 6 fast break points, and I felt like when Boston kind of took that lead into the second quarter, I felt like they were getting out and beating us down the court, and we weren't getting back fast enough. But to end the game pretty much even in both of those categories after the first half, I'll take that. Points in the paint were pretty even as well. Not a whole lot. I mean, that's not a ton for either team. And then outside of that one quarter I talked about, only 19 fouls. That includes one, using a foul to give there in the fourth quarter. So Blazers did a really good job. They've been very bad at that recently, or all year actually, of fouling too much. And in this game, I felt like they did a good job of keeping the fouls down and limiting those. And I just thought they competed. It doesn't really show up in these stats other than maybe the 15 offensive rebounds. But I felt like they played a little smarter and a little just harder, a little more effort than we've seen as games kind of got away from them recently.
Yeah, I'll also say I think in that second half they did a pretty good job of not giving up open threes to guys you don't want to give up open threes to. The open threes they gave up was to like a Hugo Gonzalez, who's a rookie and not much of a scorer. He had a solid game. He had 13 points today, but he was 1 for 5 from 3, right? Like Luka Garza shot a 3 there in the second half. I forget when, but like those are the guys you kind of live with. You don't want to give up open threes to Peyton Pritchard, to Anthony Simons, of course, to Jaylen Brown. Derek White, you don't want to give up wide open threes to him, but he has really struggled this year. He's shooting 40% from the field. He's still 36% from 3, so he's solid. But like, if you can just contest his shot a little bit, make him shoot a couple feet behind the line, that's kind of what you want to do with Derek White. I thought the Blazers did a good job of that. So they did it, we talked about it last stream where they're running guys off the three-point line and letting too much get downhill. I thought they did a better job of not getting completely beat off the dribble in that second half, staying in front, but also not giving up threes to Jaylen Brown or Peyton Pritchard or Anthony Simons, or kind of like the three guys there. They make 7 threes combined. I'll absolutely take that a game after we give up 9 threes to freaking Brook Lopez. So, right. 13 for 44 from the three-point line, 30% for the Celtics. That was a really important thing in this game, especially that second half.
I will say to that, though, the type of defense the Blazers run with the Celtics' current roster without Tatum and with basically a non-shooting big out there with Queta. I know Garza hit a 3 tonight, but, he's not going to kill you normally from the three-point line either. So it did lend itself to being a good, like our defensive game plan that we railed on last game was more suited for a game like this, where you stay home on the shooters and you don't have to worry about Queta coming out and stretching the floor or anything like that. They did lose him a couple times when Donovan had to help on drives, but other than that, I felt like the game plan that they normally run is a little better for this type of situation. Usually I wouldn't say that about Boston, but their particular roster this year is more prone to being able to sell out on the perimeter.
Yeah, the Blazers only give up 45 points in the second half after giving up 63 in the first half. The Blazers were actually down 8 at halftime, a lead that the Celtics stretched to 10 there. That was the biggest lead of the game for the Celtics. But the Blazers immediately go on a 7-0 run. Toumani Camara started to get cooking that second half. He started this game 2 for 8 from the field. I believe he was 0 for 5 from 3, and he finishes 7 for 14, 4 for 10 from 3. So his second half, him stepping up was huge. But it was, some shot making in the second half. The Blazers point totals first and second half are pretty much identical, though. They had 55 in the first half. They finished with 59 in the second half for a total of 114. It was more so you're not turning over the ball. You're not giving them points in transition because of bad live ball turnovers. In the first half, you had multiple plays where a Blazer's just throwing it to a Celtics defender, and he's like, all right, I'll go the other way. Caleb Love had a pass like that. Denny had a couple rough moments in transition, and the Celtics were able to capitalize a bit on some of those turnovers in the first half. The Blazers cleaning that area up in the second half was a big reason why they were able to hold the Celtics to only 45 points, not giving them great opportunities going the other way. So nice to see Toumani step up that second half offensively because he had really struggled in the first half. Nice to see Caleb Love make some shots. He has 3 decently efficient games in a row, so that's something we'll talk about today. We didn't talk about him much last game when he had a solid game against the Clippers, so we'll touch upon that, of course. But yeah, it's nice to have a second half where you just play fundamental basketball. You just play solid defense and you don't turn over the ball, and look what happens. The Blazers end up winning the second half by 14 points against a good team just because they do the simple little stuff that we've been talking about that they're capable of doing despite the injuries. been extremely frustrating to hear the injury narrative, the point guard stuff, explain everything. Some people try and explain everything away with the injuries that the Blazers have. And obviously, the injuries the Blazers have are making things tougher. Recently I went on a kind of spiel about how, if you say, oh, the injuries aren't everything, people think that means that the injuries don't matter. No, it can be that, yeah, the Blazers are injured, that's hurting them, but also they're shooting themselves in the foot from the free throw line. They continue to do that today, but the turnovers in the first half, there were some super sloppy plays by guys that shouldn't play as sloppy as they played in the first half in this game. There was some really bad turnovers that were kind of inexcusable. I mean, Shea had a pass in transition where I don't know where the hell he was throwing the ball. He basically just threw it out of bounds. So
the one behind Denny.
Yeah. I don't know what that was, man. And we've seen
gotta lead him, man.
Yeah, like we've seen Shea have some really bad turnovers that he should be better than. That's not due to not having a point guard. That's Sharp playing sloppy in a way that he should be better than. He should not be as sloppy as he was in the first half or as he's been at times this season. That's a big area of improvement for him. So the Blazers showed in that second half they can clean things up even against a good Celtics defense, and they can play a good fundamental brand of defense. And this is what we need to see more of going forward. We need to see more of forcing the right guys to take the threes, not giving up wide open threes to somebody who's already hit 7 of them in Brook Lopez, right? Running, good shooters off the line, but not getting completely beat where you're then stuck in rotation and scrambling and putting too much pressure on Klingon to protect the rim. And I thought the Blazers did a really good job of it. I think the traps in crunch time, Eric, the trap that Shane Sharp got the steal and drew a foul on Jaylen Brown, that wasn't something that they had been doing all game and Jaylen Brown was expecting.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, right? So if you were there for our post-game show last game where we were talking about how the Blazers trapped all game and the Clippers adjusted at halftime because they knew what to expect and the Blazers didn't readjust after the Clippers made their halftime adjustments, the Blazers in this game, they weren't trapping ball screens. They weren't trapping at half court like they did the last game against the Clippers. But late in a close game, all of a sudden, you spring a surprise trap on Jaylen Brown, and that was basically Shane Sharp's decision. Jaylen Brown was close to half court, so great job by Shane Sharp reading the situation, knowing that Brown is in a tough spot because he's 40 feet from the rim, and he's near half court, and he sprung a surprise trap on him, and it forced a turnover because Jaylen Brown wasn't expecting it. But also shout out to Sharp for reading the situation defensively and trapping that play. When you hear OKC talk about the way they defend the players, their coaching staff gives them the freedom to randomly trap. And then basically you have to trust the 3 guys behind that to recognize that they're trapping and then rotate to the right spots. And it's kind of random and a little bit chaotic, but they don't have all these breakdowns because guys are kind of on a string where, all right, they trap and the players behind it recognize it quickly and play it accordingly. And that's how you never know what to expect going against an OKC defense. That's why they're such a great defensive team. That play at the end there was a huge play. Get a stop, get to the free throw line. That was a huge momentum play, and the reason it worked is because they hadn't been trapping all game, and it surprised Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, and then you get the infighting on their side between Brown and White. Just they had 3, like I mentioned earlier, 3 plays towards the end there. That play particular, Brown wanted White to release his screen earlier so he wouldn't draw the 2 defenders there, and so he was mad. I thought he was initially mad at that, at a non-foul call, but it turned out he was just yelling at Derek White. And then Derek White threw a horrible pass to him. We get the over the back because Tamani was kind of pressuring. I forgot who was guarding White, if that was Sharp or someone else, but someone was pressuring White too, and they get over and back, and then they had the turnover on the inbounds play. It's nice to see another team, the other team, melt out in those situations after so many games of us, having to break down why we can't get the ball in bounds or why we're having turnover problems at the end of games.
Yeah, 1000%. I like the pressure being a little bit random at the end of a close game instead of something that a opposing team sees all game and can adjust to. Because I feel like when you show it early, it gives the opposing team time to adjust and figure out ways to exploit it. I feel like
Absolutely.
if you play solid and then start surprising a team with some pressure late, I feel like it's more beneficial because they don't have time to adjust. It's something that they don't expect. Now, I think pressuring full court, denying full court when it's the right situation is good. Like when Keita was forced to bring the ball up, right? He's a center. He doesn't handle the ball, but you're denying his outlet passes. And you're at least making them kind of waste time off the shot clock just to find a way to bring the ball over the court. And Neemias Queta's not going to kill you bringing the ball up the court, right? So that's like a good situation to pick up full court, but be selective of it. And this is what we talk about with certain Blazers that have struggled situationally defensively. I mean, we talked about with Tamani Kamara. We talk about it with guys not switching when they should, or one guy thinks switch and one guy doesn't. They're not on the same page, right? We talk about the lack of defensive awareness on a lot of possessions, which has contributed to the Blazers being a below average defense this year. That's something that they need to figure out. As a coaching staff, as players, you got to be able to recognize situations to trap. It should not just be, we're going to pressure full court all game long and allow teams to exploit it, allow teams to get used to it, allow teams to adjust to it. It needs to be more random. And I thought today was a better example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's all you can ask for, right? Is just them mixing it up a little bit instead of being so dang predictable. So it was nice to see that this game for sure. Should we read off some donations?
Yeah,
before
go
we
ahead.
get going?
Yeah, go
All right. So Mox had a 50 Filipino peso donation, just said W. So W, let's go. Adir Shimshon had a 15 Israeli shekel donation. Says, much love, Eric and Tori. Please give us player of the game poll, Tori.
Yeah. I forgot. This is going to be a good poll.
He says, I'm a big Denny fan, but I want to vote for Klingon this time. So, yeah, I mean, we haven't even talked about Klingon yet. We'll get to him in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get to the players.
And then Woody Woo had 2 donations. His first one, $2, says, glad that Shea is getting his 3-point and midi back. Yeah, it's nice to see Shea shoot well from 3 again tonight. And then his second one, another $2 donation, says, predictions of Chris's contract next year.
I don't predict him to get a contract, honestly.
So Chris is under his 4th rookie. They did pick up the option for next year. So they do have him under contract next year. So I'm assuming you mean contract extension off of that. Man, would it surprise me if they signed him to another contract extension after his rookie deal? No. But I have a feeling they're going to let that one play out if he's on the roster next year or not. And I just, in my opinion, he is right there with the Trendon Watfords and the Jabari Walkers of the world, where the Blazers recently have let those contracts elapse and then just let them go. So I'd be surprised. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they kept on to him past that, but I definitely think they're going to go into next year just letting that play out. If they want to, they'd have the option to offer him a qualifying offer in 2027 to get to put him as a restricted free agent. But yeah, I don't really see them like signing him to a rookie extension. There's really no point in doing so this season or next. I mean, it would be in the off season, but going into next season, I really don't see the need for doing that.
Taylor Packer says he got to be worth at least $25 million a year. Am I right, boys? Best offensive rebounding forward, just like Lamar says. If they gave him $25 million, you guys would see. I don't even know. I would have a medical emergency. Let's just say that.
Well, rest assured. I mean, they gave Tamani 22 annually, or a little over 20, and Sharp 22 and a half, Or no, it wasn't even 22.5, right?
Yeah, I forget.
No, it was 22.5.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're not going to give Chris Murray that amount of money, but we'll see. I'll talk about him when we get to when we roll through the players. We're going to go through the players here, but the player of the game poll is live, okay? And I do agree with. I generally put my player of the game in the thumbnail. If it's close, I'll mix it up. There's been a ton of Denny thumbnails this year, so when other players play well, I'm trying to mix it up a little bit. So we got Klingon in the thumbnail today for good reason. But yeah, go ahead and vote. We do have 5 good performances to talk about today, which is funny because the first half of this game was basically just Denny, Sharp, and Klingon, and everything around them was crap. Like, that first half, nobody else played well at all. There is nothing remarkable. Now,
well, Caleb had that stretch where he hit a 3 and then got a steal and laid it in.
He had
like
a good 6 seconds and
everything
everything else was bad. Yeah. Yeah. But like the second half, Caleb Love and Tamani Kamara stepped up, and that was the difference with the defense and with those guys stepping up. Like, we've seen Sharp and Denny have big first halves and then kind of fade a little bit in the second half where they've needed other guys to step up. I mean, last game against the Clippers was a perfect example, but nobody else stepped up last game, and it's why the Blazers as a whole team, they faded. They led the majority of the game. They led 2/3 of the game. They were up double digits at one point, and then they end up losing by 16 points where they just get ran off the floor essentially because nobody else steps up and does anything offensively. They only put 103 on the board. They had 16 points in the third quarter, and that's the type of quarter that will happen if Denny and Sharp maybe start to get defended a little bit heavier. A team makes halftime adjustments to try and take those guys out of the game. If nobody else steps up, this team is prone to some really bad offensive quarters. So it was really nice the second half that Caleb Love and Tamani Kamara stepped up offensively and really helped this team.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the Klingon show in the first quarter, man. It was nice to see them actually. I mean, he hits his first 3. I thought the second 3 was a bad shot for how patient he's been with shooting those lately.
Well, what was on the shot clock? The shot clock was relatively low, if I recall correctly, and I was completely.
I don't remember it being low, but anyways,
I'll check it.
For the most part, though, he was rolling hard to the rim and just hanging around the rim, and it wasn't just one guy. It was like, I think City found him one time, Denny found him one time. I think Chris found him another time, maybe even Caleb. He was just rolling, and people were finding him, and that was really beautiful basketball to watch. Like, I love that when they get him involved near the hoop on the run, catching it right towards the hoop, and I mean, there was no lobs in that stretch either. They were all like dump off passes, and yeah, it was just good to see him get involved around the hoop, and he was finishing them, and that offense. Then you have to start worrying about him, and then it opens up your shooters to maybe get cleaner shots. But yeah, I just thought Klingon was amazing in that first quarter on both ends. And then, of course, the rest of the game, he comes up clutch at the end.
Yeah, that second 3 he shot was with 4 on the shot clock. And it was, like, relatively open. He has at times when he sped up his release, like, made a couple threes this year. I don't think it really bothers him a ton. It's just he takes his time.
Well, Young had the one where he had to shoot it.
Yeah, which he didn't think about that one. That was his first career 3. Yeah, we'll talk about Young. But, yeah, that was one that he shot fluidly instead of, having so much space he's thinking about it too much. But Klingon's shot looks legit, man. I believe coming into this game, well, I can actually pull this up because it's not going to update for this game, but he was like 32% from 3 on the season, which, he's been shooting the 3 ball better than that the past month, but still don't know exactly where he's going to end up at in terms of 3-point percentage after the season, but it's nice to see the growth. Like, you can tell he's shooting the ball confidently and the shot looks good. Yeah, he was 31.9% from 3 coming into this game, and he shoots 33%. So, yeah, he's a 32% 3-point shooter, right now on the season. Past month, he's been shooting better than that, and he's a legitimate floor spacing threat. Like, I feel good when teams leave him completely wide open, and he shoots the three right now. But I also like that, in a game like this, there was maybe a couple times where he could have rolled harder to the rim. I'm not really going to nitpick him like staying behind the 3-point line when he's shooting the 3-point ball really well. It's kind of cool to,
hard not to.
yeah, but I think it's like, all right, don't just camp behind the line like you're Myers Leonard, right? You're still 7'2". You're still when there's space on the interior, you're still a great dump off option. I think it's more so he just has to read like, okay, is the paint packed? Like, should I step back because the paint is packed, or do I have a good opportunity to cash in on a dump off pass, or if I roll hard to the rim, that sort of thing. Like reading the floor balance, I think is important for him. But the rebounding's great. 18 and 18 today. There's a couple offensive rebounds I would like for him to just find a way to come up with. Neemias Queta had a couple offensive boards, but that's going to happen over the course of a game. The Celtics only had 12 offensive rebounds. It feels like that's pretty good. Nice. Good 4th and 3. You didn't delay your reaction by 1 to 2 seconds.
Sorry. Got excited that they converted.
Yeah. This game's crazy. But
Low scoring contest.
they didn't really utilize his passing in this game, but I just love the growth he's shown. I love that he's showing that he's capable of playing heavy minutes and still having an impact late. Like, he doesn't look gassed. He looks like he's in great shape. He plays 34 minutes in this game, and when the Blazers up 1, they miss a shot. He has a clutch offensive rebound and putback and one, and he makes the clutch free throw. That didn't seal the game, but that made this game comfortable for the Blazers if they didn't, completely screw it up, right? That was a huge, huge play by Klingon, and I like the way he's finishing some of his offensive rebounds right now. He ends up going 7 for 7 inside the arc, so he had that nice little reverse finish in the first half, which was clean. Like, that's not the easiest thing for a 7'2" guy to finish that way. So I like the finishing right now around the rim has been pretty solid. The 3-point shooting has been pretty solid. He's been pretty efficient lately. So just continue to love the growth that he's showing.
Yeah, and he's doing a better job of not only obviously controlling the offensive rebounds, but controlling the defensive rebounds as well, outside of a couple plays. But it's going to happen throughout the course of a game. That play you mentioned, I think that was his first 2-point basket. It's something that it seems so small, but earlier in his career, he was not looking to shoot in those situations when he caught the ball in kind of a bad spot under the hoop and off to the side. And to see him grow to someone who can then turn that into like a basket now, which he's been doing consistently, looking to attack the rim a little bit more. It's just been a nice little adjustment from him to see him be more aggressive in those situations and look to get baskets. Because I don't know, like even if he misses some of those, it's still a good shot to have your 7'2" guy shoot near the rim, and he's going to start making them more consistently the more he tries to be aggressive as well.
Yeah, 1,000%. He's my player of the game. He's Chat's player of the game, 62% of the poll. Denny comes in second with 20%. Sharp, 9%. Caleb Love, 9%. So shout out to Klingon, man. I'm excited for his future. I've talked about it a lot lately, but I'm excited to see what comes of the passing flashes he's shown lately, the 3-point shooting, and then, of course, the rim protection. I will say, I wish it was a little bit more difficult for guys like Queta to post him up and score on him in the post. I do think Klingon can do a better job of defending in the post right now. It just feels like he's trying not to foul, so he's not being particularly physical, which if you're not physical in the post, it's not going to be the best defense. So I think just him continuing to find that fine line, especially defending the low post between being physical yet not fouling, is going to be important for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree there.
Denny Avdia, He was next in our player of the game poll. He finishes with 24 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds. So continuing to fill up the stat sheet. Bro, that's a bad pick.
There's a flag.
Hopefully, yeah.
It doesn't look like it's a good. Oh. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Brock can't be throwing.
Got
those,
lucky.
Man.
Yeah.
Come on. Anyway, distraction aside, Denny continues to play really good basketball. He was super efficient. I think at some point he had like 16 points on 7 field goal attempts. He was 5 for 7. Shoots 16 shots, 10 free throws. He's 8 for 16 from the field, 3 for 10 from 3. Some of the threes there in the second half didn't fall for him, but continues to play efficient basketball. This was once again a decently efficient game. He could have had 29 points if he made all 10 of his free throws. Then it would be a really, really impressive game. So leaving some points on the free throw line, we discussed that, but I like how he continues to drive, and also the mid-range stuff that he's showing lately, man. It's almost like he heard the criticism, like, this dude has no bag, he just goes to the rim and that's it. Like, he has no mid-range game. He's starting to do a lot in the mid-range, and it looks really, really good, and he's hitting some of these mid-range shots. So if he's adding that to the bag, man, then he's becoming a guy that's like almost impossible to guard because he constantly turns the corner, and if you help at the rim and he can just hit that little mid-range when there's help at the rim, I don't really know how you slow him down. So I love seeing that from him lately. The playmaking continues to be impressive. The turnovers, there's a couple sloppy moments that I would like for him to clean up where he's just trying to force something that's not there, especially a couple times in transition. But overall, once again, a great Denny game, and I like that we're starting to see some growth in certain areas from some of these players we talk about with Klingon, and with Denny, it's the mid-range stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Just solid game. I mean, it didn't seem like he shot that well because of the free throws and the three-point shooting, but made a lot of tough driving shots. And as you mentioned, a couple mid-range shots. Yeah, I would like to see him, because the defense is going to continue to pack further and further deeper and not let him get to the rim. And so if he could just pull up on a dime and hit those, or maybe at some point get like a floater game going, he would be impossible to stop. But yeah, you can't really complain when he finishes 8 for 16. But yeah, his shooting from the field hasn't been great this stretch, but still continuing to put up efficient numbers due to those free throws. And yeah, almost a triple double again. It's hard to complain outside the turnovers tonight.
Yeah, the last couple of games have been better in terms of the shooting from the field. It was 10 for 18 against the Clippers, 8 for 16 against the Celtics. So he had a little bit of a slump there, and that's what I called it. Like, there's going to be Denny haters, unfortunately, that victory lap every time he has a inefficient shooting game. But it's not like he's going, 4 for 17 type stuff. Like, it's 5 for 15, 6 for 16, 6 for 18, 4 for 12. Like, those are some of his shooting marks during this slump. But it's just it's like 4 games where he shoots below 40% in a 5-game stretch. And he hadn't had a stretch like that at all so far this year. Like, he's been extremely consistent, and I wasn't worried at all about that. He's playing a ton of minutes this month. He's averaging 37 minutes a game. And he's putting
That's probably got to come down a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, he continues to be productive. Like, he's averaging 25, 8.5 assists, 7.5 boards this month. Like, that's elite basketball. So continues to be productive. It's gonna be, I don't know. Like, is this his best month? It's even with the slump.
Shooting, yeah.
Like, the shooting's a little bit down compared to November, but the assists are up. He's making plays at an insane level. You look at the shooting that's around him. He doesn't have much shooting around him. And people make this excuse for Sharp all the time. Like, oh, people, he doesn't get assists because he has poor shooters around him. He has bad teammates around him, etc. Which, okay, yeah, he'd probably get more assists, Shaden Sharp would, if he had better shooters around him. But so would Denny Avdia, and Denny Avdia is out here averaging over 8 assists per game this month. So that's why it's like not really an excuse for Sharp. We'll talk about him in terms of the playmaking stuff. The scoring has been a lot of fun with Shane Sharp lately. The three-point shooting has looked legit. But Denny is playmaking like a true point guard right now. Like he literally, we keep having the conversations like we have no point guards. Denny playing like this, the way he has this month, sure the turnovers are a little bit high, but he has almost a 2-to-1 assist turnover ratio. Like he is a point guard right now. Since he's 6'9", people will call him a point forward. But he's legitimately playing like a point guard, distributing like a point guard, setting up teammates. The last 5 games, 11 assists, 9 assists, 8 assists, 9 assists, 10 assists. It's phenomenal stuff.
Yeah, he's been playing great and consistent all year. But he said hasn't missed a game either. So just props to him for bringing it every night. And he continues to be one of the main reasons why this team hasn't completely fallen apart this year with the injuries.
Yep. I like
real quick right now, everyone while watching, just go put in a vote for him for All-Star. Like let's start that campaign now. Let's make sure he gets there. He absolutely deserves to be an All-Star this year.
Yeah, like we might have 4,000 people that watch this stream. If all 4,000 of you went out and voted every day, that'd be a lot of votes at the end of this campaign. It's like what, 1 month, so 30 days times 4,000 votes a day, that's like 120,000 votes. So do your part. All right, do your part if you're watching this. If you don't do your part and you're watching this, I am disappointed. I'm disappointed, and you don't want to disappoint me.
Well,
I don't know what that means. That sounds like a threat. That's not a threat. That's not a threat. But yeah, go vote for Denny. He deserves it, man. He's been playing great basketball. So shout out to him. You got Shane Sharp leading the way in scoring, 26 points. Let me pull up the box score here because I put like the shooting and I made this a slideshow, this box score here, so you guys could see the shooting numbers and all that. Shane Sharp today, 10 for 20 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3. 1 for 2 from the free throw line. Would like for him to get to the free throw line a little bit more, but
he got knocked to the floor a couple times last drive. So
yeah, probably deserved a few more free throws than that. The scoring has been great lately, man. I mean, this is basically the thing with Shane Sharp is he's taken a step as a scorer. Had a couple of good defensive plays late. The steal that we talked about against Jaylen Brown, those were his only 2 free throws, was that play. So I like that he's looked solid defensively lately, and the way he kind of plays the passing lanes, and he looks engaged, and I've been satisfied with the defense as of late. I think he had a stretch there earlier in the season where he was starting to just get picked on and opening up the door and letting guys just beat him off the dribble and not being competitive enough physically. It feels like he's been a little bit better in that regard lately, which is awesome. But the step has come as a scorer with knocking down threes. We talked about it. He had a couple of games where he really struggled from 3, and I said, man, it's going to be interesting to look back. Is this just a couple games where he struggled, or is it the beginning of another slump where he's just not going to become a consistent 3-point shooter? Mm-hmm. Today he goes 5 for 8. The shot looks good. The release looks good. He hits a 2 for 1 that was decently contested, but was the right shot because it was the last opportunity for a 2 for 1. I forget which quarter that was in, but and he goes 5 for 8 from 3. Like I'm starting to legitimately buy the 3-point shot. He shot 43% from 3 before this game on the month, so I don't think he's a 40% 3-point shooter, no. But I think at the end of this year he will be like 35, 36% at this rate as long as he continues to take the 3-point shots that he's currently taking. It feels like lately there's like one bad 3-point attempt a game, and he had one today that he missed horribly. That was just like a deep 3, too much time left on the shot clock. But he's doing a better job of like picking his spots as a 3-point shooter. So, it's funny. He had an identical 3-point percentage to Klingon coming into this game, 31.9%. I think I'm starting to buy the 3-point shooting. I think he'll be at around 35% at the end of the year. which will be an improvement over the past couple of seasons. So it's nice to say that about Shaedon Sharpe, because you guys know I don't just buy every good stretch he plays, but I do think the shooting improvement that he's shown lately is legitimate. So happy to say that. Happy to say that.
Yeah, Taylor says at 33.3 after tonight. So,
yeah.
And we saw that with Scoot last year, right? I think Scoot got off to a bad start shooting, right, and then had it climb all year consistently and then maybe tailed off a little bit at the end. But I want to say, like, a couple months into the season, Scoot started shooting really well and really raised his percentage, right?
Yeah, I'll pull up the splits here. Wait, where is the splits?
But yeah, if you just continue to shoot good threes, I think that percentage will climb a little bit. And honestly, I mean, 40% would be awesome, and we'd definitely take that. But I mean, like, a lot of seasons, Dame and Anthony and CJ like didn't shoot 40% from three when they were shooting. It's not necessarily about shooting a certain percentage. It's just about making defenses pay when they don't guard you or consistently do it. So if you're the type that has to shoot a lot off the dribble and stuff, I think if you can get it up to like 37% eventually in your career, that's pretty good. I mean, obviously it's not Steph or Clay level, but you know, a lot of shooters, we talk about this with the Blazers all the time. Like, a lot of these guys are shooting 30% or less on wide open threes on kickouts, and you just can't have that happen. So as long as people like Shaedon start to figure that out a little bit and shoot in the mid 30s off of a little bit tougher shot diet than these wide open threes, I think that's very beneficial to the Blazers.
Yeah, agreed. So Trevin says, and I'll add to this, Scoot shot 29.9% from three the first 31 games last year, and then shot 8 for 10 from three in his 32nd game. Okay, but then after that 32nd game 33 onward, he shot 36.1% from three.
Nice.
So, you know, it wasn't like, oh, his hot shooting and was because of one statistical aberration. Like, he legitimately shot the 3-point ball better. He had a month of January, he shot 43%. He did kind of trail off a little bit in March. But
yeah, I think Trevor was just pointing out that, like, he was shooting bad and then had one good game and that got him going. So
yeah, well, I've heard that narrative specifically from other people in regards to Scoot, where, oh, he didn't actually improve. You know, he had an 8 for 10 shooting game. That's going to make his stats look a lot better because it's just one statistical outlier. Like, I've heard kind of some wild arguments in that regard. He did legitimately improve, though. So, you know, hopefully Sharpe, it's the same thing right now. He's shooting 43% this month as well, just like Scoot did in January. Sharpe doing it a little bit earlier. So, you didn't delay your reaction too soon.
I didn't think you were watching.
No, I'm watching, man. I'm watching. I'm talking and I'm watching. But yeah, shout out to Sharpe for improving the 3-point shot. Like, that's the thing, man. Some people didn't like it when I was roasting him for shooting 25% from three on the season. Dude, like, there's no way this dude should be shooting 25% from three. Like, that is awful. That is horrible. And he's somebody that, and this still applies, with the lack of quality playmaking right now. Damn, why didn't you fair catch that? With the lack of quality playmaking right now from Sharpe, you know, he's averaging more turnovers than assists. He's not really making plays for teammates. He's not making teammates better. He needs to be an efficient scorer. Like, you can't both be an inefficient scorer and a low-quality playmaker for others. You have to do one or the other, and Sharpe earlier in the season was doing neither. Now he's scoring the ball efficiently, so now it's contributing to the team being competitive. It's not like it's also not like he's a lockdown guy, so we can just look at his defense and kind of excuse his offense, like maybe we've done a little bit with Tamani. I think before Tamani took a step back, there's some rough offensive games last year from Tamani where we came on the postgame show and was like, he was so great defensively, like I don't care about his offense. So that's the thing for Sharp, is being able to score efficiently is very important for him, because that's basically what he is. He's a scorer, so his scoring needs to be quality. It needs to be efficient. He can't waste too many possessions to get his 20 points. So I'm happy with the efficiency lately. Still would like to see the playmaking improve. I'm tired of games where he has 1 assist and 3 turnovers, but at least he's scoring the ball well.
Yep. Ditto everything you just said.
Yep. I love taking all the words out of your mouth. Talk to me about whoever you want to talk to next, or talk about next. We got Tamani Kamara and Caleb Love, who both had good games.
Yeah, let's just get the starters out of the way. Tamani, you mentioned this before, was kind of rough in the first half, both on both ends, I thought. And then outside of that one great play on the 3-on-1 break where he got the charge call, that's such a game changer to stop a fast break with one person on a 3-on-1. But outside of that, I didn't think he played very well in the first half. He did have a couple of drives that ended in baskets, and one, maybe even 2 and ones.
Yeah.
But those almost seemed like luck. He was like kind of throwing it at the rim, like he wasn't even like shooting the ball. He just kind of like got fouled and hucked it at the rim, and they went in. But like, you got to give him credit. I wish he could
learn a floater, Eric.
Yeah.
I wish he could learn a floater. Instead, it's like, oh, I have an open 7-foot floater. No, I'm going to take a 5-foot falling down. I'm horizontal in the air and like extended with my weak hand around a big man. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, that's so much tougher. And he made a couple of those today, which was great. But it's just like, what's the development with his dribble drive game? Because he hasn't really added anything in terms of a shot within 10 feet that like makes a lot of sense. Like, all his attempts are kind of wild. He doesn't shoot a floater. So yeah, it's fun when it goes in, but that's not really something that he sustains.
At least he didn't turn it over on those drives tonight, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and then obviously he struggled with the 3-point shot, hit a few in the second half that really turned his performance around. Ends up with 20 points and a really solid. When he got his 4th foul, though, a stupid foul on a rebound, where he pushed the guy in the back, and once again had to come out of the game or play a little bit less aggressive defense when you get into foul trouble. So I was just thinking right before that play, I was like, wow, Tamani's in a good situation. He's going to be able to stay aggressive the rest of the game, and then he picks up a stupid foul. And that was the foul that got us in the penalty that I was talking about earlier with over 6 minutes left in the quarter. I thought that was going to come back to haunt us, but the Blazers did a pretty good job of not fouling other than his 5 fouls. So it didn't really bother us too much that he got in foul trouble tonight, unlike a lot of previous games.
Yeah, I think that's something we kind of glossed over with the team stats. The Blazers didn't send the Celtics to the free throw line a whole lot. This has obviously been a major issue for the Blazers fouling-wise. That was improved today. If they end up shooting 30-plus free throws, the Blazers lose this game. So you're able to just play a more fundamental game defensively, and the turnovers were cleaned up the second half, and that's the difference, essentially, in being able to win or lose this game. So really happy with that. Tamani does need to do a better job of staying out of foul trouble. We've talked about it. It's always these like little ticky-tack stuff that he is fouling guys, and maybe he doesn't feel like it's a foul. He complains about a lot of his fouls at this point, but you got to learn where that line is, and he's struggled to do that so far this year. But offensively, the second half stepped up, made some shots. I've talked about how, outside of Sharp and Denny, you kind of need somebody to step up on a given night, and you don't know exactly who that's going to be right now. But you had 2 guys step up in the second half after nobody really stepped up in the first half. So I think at this point, it's a clear recipe for how the Blazers need to play and what they need to win games with the injuries that they have. They need Tamani, and normally it's, I guess, going to be Caleb Love at this point to step up and make shots and play efficient basketball. And defensively, not bleed points because you're being aggressive and being dumb and making mental mistakes. Have some level of defensive awareness. So hopefully we can see more of that, because I do think this team can still be competitive even with the injuries if they do those things. And that's why I've been hard on them. Well, there's other people that just want to say, what do you expect? You should be happy we only lost by 10 because of the injuries,
Yeah, and I will say you have to be smart about it. You can't just have this happen to then get like a technical or something, or get into foul trouble. But I do like when he kind of gets – I felt like he kind of got in Jaylen Brown's head a little bit in the second half, and it got chippy between those two at a couple times. And that's the Tamani we need, is the guy who is frustrating the other team. Didn't do that in the first half, obviously. Second half, I thought he did a much better job of that, and I felt like that maybe contributed to a little bit of pressure on the Celtics late there in the game, and why maybe they had a couple of bad turnovers, is because Tamani definitely got in Jalen's head a little bit in the second half.
Yeah.
But I like that chippiness. I like when they're kind of pushing each other and getting into it. I feel like that's when Tamani can be at his best, when he's kind of getting into it. And then Jaylen Brown all of a sudden is focused on getting back at Tamani instead of playing the game,
Yeah, I will say, I wish we could be having conversations about Tamani slowing down stars this season. It just hasn't.
Right. No.
Jaylen Brown has 37 points today, efficient points as well. Would like to have those conversations again, like we did last year, about him holding Tyrese Halliburton to a scoreless game, or Trae Young to a really bad game. I think Trae Young had like 5 points or something. I'm probably forgetting the exact amount there, but there's games where Tamani was taking opposing stars out of the game, and that just hasn't really happened this season. I can't remember a single game feeling that way. So hopefully at some point he can figure that out. I mean, he's getting called for a lot of stuff that maybe he got away with last year. He has to figure out a way to be effective defensively without fouling. That's the theme for him right now. But the three-point shooting, he did make a three from the corner, but I do like him better above the arc.
Yeah.
Or above the corner, however you want to say that. Let me actually pull up his shot chart, because I am curious here. And then we'll talk about the final Blazers starter and his shots from the corner as well. So Tamani was 1 for 4 in the corner. He was 3 for 6 when he wasn't shooting in the corner. He was 3 for 6 from 3 above the break.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
What was he from the quarters last year? Just curious. Do you know?
He was like 30. Well, I brought this up last stream. He was a little better above the break. Last year, Basketball Reference had him as let's see here, as a 35.8% corner three-point shooter, and he shot 37.5% from 3.
Yeah.
And he took 42% of his shots from the corner. So my mental math, he was probably like 39% above the break and 35.8% from the corner. And then this year he's taking 26% of his threes from the corner. So that's a downtick, and he was shooting 26%. That's not going to get any better today. He was 1 for 4, but he's 3 for 6 above the break. So I wish the Blazers could find a good corner three-point shooter. That's kind of important for this team, I think, to address moving forward. Somebody that could knock down threes from the corner, because Tamani's knocked down threes when he's not shooting from the corner this year. He's like, I'm going to estimate here, but he was shooting 34% from 3 and 26% from the corners, and a quarter of his shots were from the corners, which means he's shooting like 36% above the break, roughly. So he's still a fine shooter when he's not shooting from the corners right now. And it would be nice to be able to not have him parked in the corners. Another guy who would be nice to not have parked in the corners is Chris Murray. What were your thoughts on Chris Murray today?
I mean, it's always kind of a mixed bag because he does have like a couple plays, including tonight, where he had a couple of huge offensive rebounds. But outside of that, I don't think he's given you much on either end. Got blown by on defense a couple of times. Is obviously not spacing the floor at all. I don't know why you would guard him on the 3-point line at all if you're the opposing team. And I mean, he had a couple of nice drives and kicks. I don't know if he finished with any assists or not.
He had 3 assists.
3 assists, but I mean, starter playing, I don't know. It's not even really his fault because like he shouldn't be starting and playing this much, but I don't know. He's kind of managed a lot tonight, and it hurts them, I think, on the court when he's the floor spacer, like you said. When he's cutting and getting around the hoop, sometimes it's okay, but I feel like he didn't cut much tonight either.
Yeah. He gets stuck more than anybody I've ever seen wear a Blazer uniform. He gets stuck in the middle of the floor with the ball trying to pass it out so much. And some of it's like maybe on an offensive rebound, which is still a good thing that he's getting offensive boards. But, man, it happens a lot.
Quick question about that. Would you rather have that happen where he's looking to kick out, or would you rather him shoot the Tamani shots where he's like taking a bad shot in that situation?
Tamani at least is able to like dribble out. It's like Chris drives, gets 12 feet away from the rim, and then picks up his dribble and gets stuck and is like, I don't know what to do. And doesn't look at the rim. You know what I mean? So it's like everybody else defending other players is like, all right, I'm denying. This guy doesn't want to shoot. He doesn't want, he's not even looking at the rim and he's looking to pass out. That's when guys will start to try and steal that pass, and there's just a lot of it. But I mean, the offensive rebounding is great and all, but he plays 25 minutes a game and gets 1.8 offensive rebounds. Like, that's going to be your calling card, really. Like, on the month of December, he was shooting 20.8% from 3 going into this game, so it might be worse than that now. And he's shooting 2.5 a game. He's playing 27 minutes a game, Eric. He is a horrible 3-point shooter. Horrible. It's so funny that he was looked as somebody that was going to come into the league and like maybe be an okay 3-point shooter. Mm-hmm. He is horrible from 3. And I'm tired of seeing him shoot corner threes. Like, it's at the point, man, like, it's starting to feel like when he shoots a corner 3, it's starting to feel like when Robert Williams shoots a corner 3. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and it's really killing their offense when that's the outlet too. And like Denny or Shea makes a good drive and you kick it out like, oh crap, it's Chris that's catching that ball. He's either not going to shoot or he's going to shoot and miss. So like, yeah.
He's this month 27 minutes a game, 5.7 points per game, 1 assist. 1.2 turnovers. Like, that's pretty much in line with his season stats. This season, he's playing 25 minutes a game. He's averaging 5.9 points, 4 rebounds, 1.8 offensive rebounds per game, 1.1 assists, 1 turnover per game. And defensively, he's a okay defender, but I don't think he's particularly good. Yeah, he'll come up with plays here and there, but he'll also get beat off the dribble here and there. He'll also get driven right to the rim. There's a play, I forget who it was, but there's a play like that today. So once the Blazers could upgrade this rotation spot, like if the Blazers were healthy, Chris Murray should not be playing. There's no way he should be in the regular rotation. It seems like the coaching staff really likes him for whatever reason. So who knows if that would take place. But if he's still in the regular rotation, just upgrading him into like a basic bench offensive forward will seem like such an upgrade. Like somebody that can just shoot, 34, 35% from 3, drive to the rim occasionally, make a pass occasionally. Like he just doesn't do anything. He just simply doesn't do anything. And I feel like he has a little bit of a fan base because he's like the get your nose dirty, hustle rebounds, that type of thing. He has to do that stuff just to provide any value, like anything valuable to this team. And the offense is so freaking rough. Like if that was a floor spacer that could open up the offense, it would immediately make everybody else on the floor look better. But defenses, and you've seen it, defenses can completely leave him and clog things up for this team. And it's a problem. So it sucks that the Blazers are in a position where they have to play him 30 minutes a game right now. It sucks that I have to talk about him this way because he's shooting 20% from three in the month of December. You know, it's not personal. I wish he could shoot 35% from three and we didn't have to talk about these issues. But this is the reality of playing Chris Murray right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's man, like I get he's a nice guy and all that. It's nothing personal, but yeah, I agree with you. If we had someone a little more competent out there in those same exact spots, I can't imagine what Denny and Sharp in particular would be doing right now with that kick out option, and then also just that little bit of hesitancy from the defense to leave him in the corner if it wasn't Chris Murray. Because like I said, if I'm playing the Blazers, I'm staying 10 feet away from him. I am daring him to shoot threes. If he makes a couple,
Yeah.
I could live with that. But man, I'm gonna let him beat me from three if I'm him, and I'm not gonna let anyone else get a good shot.
Yep, 1,000%. Let's talk about a couple of bench guys. Gonna be some interesting conversations here. So Caleb Love. Caleb Love plays 29
It didn't
minutes.
take him 5 games.
Yeah, I know. He's had 3 games in a row where he's been decently efficient. You know, it was 7 for 13 from the field, 5 for 10 from the field. Now 6 for 14 from the field. 6 for 14 from the field. He's 4 for 10 from 3 and 2 for 2 inside the arc and made both his free throw attempts. Like, that's great. By Caleb Love standards, you know, we're talking about a guy who's been one of the most inefficient volume shooters in the league. He has a usage rate above 20, and his true shooting percentage is like 43% or something like that. The only comparable player off the top of my head with a usage rate that high, with an efficiency that low, is Rob Dillingham, who's been really, really rough this year, unfortunately. But he's starting to, I don't know, like, I'm not going to sit here and say he's starting to figure it out because this is literally Caleb Love. Like, he is capable of stringing together a couple efficient games. And he's done so the past 3 games, but like, I feel like Blazer fans will start to expect this because, oh, look, he's starting to turn the corner. He's a rookie and he's starting to figure things out. But like this season so far mirrors basically what he was in college. And there was times where he could get hot for more than just a game. He'd get hot for a couple games and then kind of regress back. I will say it's been really nice that he's been able to be productive, and his offense was needed off the bench in this game. They need somebody to step up. I don't like the 5 turnovers. He had some really bad turnovers in this game. I do like that he's not a good defender, but he's competitive. Like, he goes out there and he tries to fly through screens and he plays with a level of intensity that I like and that I didn't really expect from him. So I like that seems pretty bought in on that end of the floor, so that when he does have a good shooting game, you know, you can look at him and be like, all right, he's not getting cooked defensively as of late, like, which is just kind of like the bare minimum requirement for me with him. And then he's providing you some offense. He's providing you a spark, and this team is needing a spark. So 3 solid games in a row. Really like that from him. The decision making is still spotty at best, but really.
Yeah, had a couple of drives, 2 drives in particular that were not good. But outside of that, you know, I thought he took pretty good shots. He'll let the threes fly. I mean, he's not bashful, of course. And if you shoot 40%, is that what he was saying? 4 for 10?
3, yeah.
It's still crazy how many shots he's getting and how many minutes he plays. But it is, I mean, he's playing a lot of times when people are scared to shoot him. And if Denny's driving and kicking him out to him, I guess the fact that he can get hot compared to a lot of other players on the team who just suck no matter how many threes you give them. I guess that's slightly better. So I'll definitely take it right now while we're missing guys. But it just it is a game changer when he's actually hitting shots and kind of switches the defense a little bit to where you have to account for him, and that's more than you can say for a lot of these guys. Um, but just hopefully he's maybe shooting a little more consistently. Like you mentioned, we have such a huge sample size of him not doing it that I'll continue to be skeptical until I actually see it over half a season or something like that. But right now, he's played well the last few games, and yeah, he's going to get his shots up whether they're going or not. And thankfully tonight they were going in.
Yeah, absolutely. Young Hansen came in and made me kind of want more Young Hansen minutes. He came in, played 11 minutes. The Blazers were a +6.
Mm-hmm.
They were a +6. So this is a couple games now where he's not like killing them and causing an 8-0 run the other way because he can't defend, can't rebound, that sort of stuff. Like he did have 2 turnovers. One was a moving screen. It seems like refs kind of nitpick him on that.
Screens.
Yeah, it seems like refs nitpick him where, Draymond wouldn't get called for these, right? So just the rookie whistle at work there. He just has to be a little bit more careful. But he came in, knocked down that 3. That was awesome to see. And was 1 for 3 from the field. Like, missed a layup on the inside. I think he should have finished. But at this point, if he can come in,
rushed it.
Yeah, he rushed it. But like the conversation with him is like, how does he get his reps, right? How does he get his developmental minutes? It's by coming in and just being solid enough where you're not hurting the team. On a night that Robert Williams is out, and there's going to be many more nights where Robert Williams is out. Young is in a position where I think he can earn minutes when Robert Williams is out because Duop Reith has been so rough lately. And Duop Reith was a DNP coach's decision today. They played Young Hansen ahead of him because Duop Reith comes in the game and is so bad defensively, he hurts this team. If Young Hansen can come in, I think, his defense was better today than some of the really rough patches we've seen earlier in the season. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say it was good because that'd be a lie. But, he's still very slow. Like, you don't want him switched out at all. He doesn't do a good job getting out to the three-point line. But, like, as long as it's not bad enough where this team is getting completely cooked with him on the floor, you can play him and get away with it, right? And the Blazers played him and got away with it today. So if your option is him or Duop Reith right now, I'd play him instead, just because I don't think Duop Reith, with how he's played lately, is a better option. And with Young, you have the added benefit of this is a guy you're trying to develop that has long-term upside. So that's kind of where I'm at. He should be the backup center when Robert Williams is out. And I do feel like he's slowly getting better, which isn't saying a whole lot because he started off really, really, really rough. But I do think he's slowly getting better right now.
Yeah, once again, I agree. I do feel like he's just, this is something we've asked multiple players this year, right? Just come in and play solid. Don't try to do too much. Don't try to come in and think, oh, I have to do this, and this to earn minutes. No, you can earn minutes by playing solid D, not screwing up, not turning the ball over, and just not letting the other team go on a run when you come in the game. And so I felt like he did a good job tonight. I will say the thing we talked about with the Blazers scheme defensively against this team. So Queta and Garza are pretty good. I find it hard to believe there's a better 2 centers you could match up if you're the Blazers for Young Hansen right now, like just as a tandem. So like this was definitely a game. I think the Blazers. So people were asked about this in chat earlier. Rob Williams, they sat him out on the first night of the back-to-back tonight for injury management. And I think that was because of this center situation for the Celtics. It's a much better matchup for Young to maybe get some quality minutes against those 2 centers than I forget who we're playing tomorrow night.
Dallas.
Dallas, right?
Yeah, Lively's out for the season.
Right, but they still, I mean, they play at Gafford, and that's a bad matchup for maybe both of our centers. But like, it, I forget who their backup center is right now.
Looking up their depth chart, basically their third string.
Anthony Davis is out
plays
right
some
now.
center. You got Dwight Powell.
Well, he's out for a while. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Anthony Davis is out.
So
Dwight Powell's a good matchup for Young, but yeah, you'll get Rob Will.
Yeah. So the Blazers made the decision. I thought that was the correct decision. And remind me to circle back to this when we're done talking about the players, because I do believe we need to talk about this roster situation and how certain players can't get minutes even with or get even activated with all these injuries right now.
Yeah.
But I thought Young did a good job of just not screwing up. I mean, he did have those 2 offensive fouls. He's just going to have to learn from those. You got to get set when you rescreen, things like that. And I'm pretty confident in Young's ability to learn stuff like that. I think those are the type of things that can get better when he's a little bit more, in tune with the culture and the play style of the NBA and just being here in America and stuff like that. I think those are the kind of things that can get cleaned up pretty easily as time goes on. The lack of athleticism or like ability to move your feet on defense, things like that might always be a question mark with him. But I do like how he's come into games and not really had the same like huge mistakes and huge bad plays that he's had earlier in the year.
Yep. Absolutely. But speaking of bad plays, City Sissoko, his fouls are starting to drive me crazy. He plays 22 minutes. He doesn't score. He's 0 for 4 from 3, 0 for 5 from the field. He did have 4 assists, did have a couple steals and a block, but I feel like the City Sissoko honeymoon's over.
Yeah, it's ever since we started to say maybe he's a shooter now, right?
I know.
I think you had that comment, right?
Yeah.
Like he was for a stretch our most consistent out of that like group of players who isn't consistent, but he's been terrible since then from 3. But he's been shooting like he is now consistent, which is part of the problem too. Yeah. I mean, one of them, I guess, he got thrown a grenade at the end of the quarter. Not really his fault, but he's not really making any of the kick out ones right now. So, yeah, that's been tough. I mean, he did have a nice attack, but see, this is the problem once again with the roster. When you have Chris Murray, you have City Sissoko, you can't really play repair that much. Kamara struggled from 3 this year, largely. So like you have these kick out wing guys who their best thing is to put it on the floor, and we're not taking advantage of the paint being clogged and getting those open threes. And go back to something you said earlier in the stream. If you had a guy out there in this position that these guys are playing that can knock down these 3-point shots, I think it'd be much different. Now, City did get a couple of drawn offensive fouls. I thought those were both big plays in this game. But outside of that, I feel like he's just way too aggressive on defense, and he's over fouling more than he's causing fouls. So I do think he needs to tone it down a little bit too. But without his aggressiveness and energy on defense and overplaying, I wonder if he can even be an effective player out there.
Yeah. He's 2 for his last 20 from 3.
Yeah, that's not going to get it done.
That's not good. The last 3 games, he has 6 points in 53 minutes. Like, the last 3 games, he has just been complete nothingness offensively. There's too many of these guys, man. Like, that's the one thing for Caleb Love. I give him crap for being inefficient, but he at least can do something offensively. Not like City Sissoko can't, but like Caleb Love will at least have a hot shooting game, or he'll go out shooting, and being efficient. The Blazers kind of need that, considering you have Chris Murray, who's not basically gives you nothing offensively. City Sissoko, who the last 3 games has given you nothing offensively, and City Sissoko can have a good offensive game here and there, but he's not really he's not really somebody you can trust to give you something offensively every night. Ryan Rupert is nothing offensively. Those 3 guys are just complete nothingness on offense. Complete nothingness, and it's annoying.
You can get away with one of those guys. If City was the only one out of Chris, City, and Rupert playing right now, and I know there's injuries, but this goes back to the roster situation where you have 3 of those guys on the roster. So it would be good if you had one of those guys and he was just a problem for, 15 minutes a game or whatever. You have to figure out his lack of offense and how that'll fit and how you can still generate good shots. But when you have all 3 of them, and I know Rupert doesn't play that much, so you can maybe cut him out and we can just talk about Chris but
we shouldn't, because he's on an actual roster spot.
Right. Yeah, he's taking up a spot that could go to a player who does something different. But the problem is when you have to play Chris and City, the amount of minutes we have to play them right now with these injuries, now instead of having 15 to 20 minutes a game where you have to worry about it, it's pretty much the whole game where you have one of those guys on the floor and you're constantly playing 4-on-5 on offense and have a guy who's just completely can be left alone by the defense and not even have to worry about. And so that's when you start to get into trouble, and that's when not having a point guard then I don't know, I'll go back to what I said last stream. It almost seems like they don't want to fix this problem because then it'll expose other things. And right now they can use that as an excuse of, well, we just don't have shooters, or, well, why don't you get a freaking shooter? Why don't you get a freaking point guard? I'm so sick of the no point guard excuse. You could pick a point guard up. We have Javonte Cook on a 2-way right now. He can't even get activated onto a roster that is missing 7 other guys, Tori.
Yeah.
We had 7 guys out of this game, 8 including Javonte. He can't even get activated on a 2-way with 7 guys missing from the lineup at a home game too. It's not like we have to ship him off to Boston tonight to play in a game from Portland when he was playing on the remix. We can't even get this guy. He's not even good enough to play on the roster. Why are we wasting a spot for him on this roster when it could go to a developmental point guard who could be getting minutes right now and could actually contribute to solving the solution, instead of keep on having these excuses to have no point guard and have all these injuries and have that be the constant narrative. And then I'll say the same thing about Reith. We have 11 guys active tonight, 10 guys active tonight, and Reith doesn't even get to play. It's just a wasted roster spot. Rupert, unfortunately, is doing once again, seems like a super nice guy. Like the guy, he's giving you nothing right now. So you're wasting a roster spots. That's 3 roster spots, 1 2-way and 2 actual roster spots that you could have addressed the issues and the problems that this team is lacking. Despite all these injuries, they should not be a problem. And this is why we continue to not just be like, oh, well, what are they supposed to do? What they don't have a point guard, blah, blah, blah. When is there going to be someone on that side who questions Joe Cronin for not addressing it? At some point, you have to say, hey, we don't have a point guard, but our GM also is not being active in trading for one, or being active in releasing one of guys that's on their contract that doesn't matter in the terms of long-term team building and stuff like that, and bringing in a guy who can help us salvage this season until we get guys back. And then we have a better roster once those guys are back. Our 10 through 15 are more suitable to play when there's injuries, and then we don't have those excuses anymore. So I'm sick of them just letting it be an excuse when it could easily be fixed by a trade or just waiving someone and signing someone different.
Yeah, City is fine on a two-way. Like, he's a fine player on
Yeah.
a two-way. It's as you said, it's a combination of him plus Repair plus Chris Murray plus you're developing Young Hansen plus you're using a roster spot for a guy who's out for the year plus Duaparith is unplayable plus Robert Williams can only play half the time and can't play more than 20 minutes plus Matisse Thybulle is like always dealing with some sort of injury. Yeah, it's the combination of all of that that kind of puts the Blazers in this position where some of it's circumstance, but some of it you're not doing a good enough job filling out the end of your roster. I think the Blazers' 11th through 14th men this season are the worst 11th through 14th men of any team in the league. Like, I truly do believe the combination of Chris Murray, Duaparith, Young Hansen, and Ryan Rupert is probably worse than any other 11th to 14th men in the league. The 15th roster spot's obviously going to Dame, who's out for the season. So, yeah, it's like, oh, look at the guys the Blazers have to play. They're not giving you much, so it makes things harder. Absolutely, but the Blazers need to do a better job of filling out those spots, and they need to get some different types of players. You just got too many guys that don't do anything. Too many guys that don't really provide anything offensively. Like, we're talking about Chris Murray's averaging 25 minutes a game, and he's giving you 6 points. We talk about City Sissoko this month. Like, he started to get some fans, and a few streams ago I said I like the way he's playing, but here's the reality. It's a low bar. And so far this month, City Sissoko's played 12 games. Okay? He's playing 24 minutes a game. In only 3 of those 12 games did he score more than 8 points. Okay? In only 4 of those 12 games did he score more than 6 points. So 8 out of the 12 games, City Sissoko scored 6 points or less in 24 minutes per game. Okay? In only 3 of those 12 games did he get more than 2 assists. Like, that's basically nothing. He's playing 24 minutes a game. He's getting you 1.5 assists per game, 7 points this month. That's not counting this game. So obviously that scoring average is going to go down. Like, you just don't have any scoring punch, which City's a two-way guy, so that's like, we're kind of raising the expectation on him because other guys that are actually on roster spots, normal NBA roster spots, aren't getting the job done. So now we're looking at City like, okay, can you do more for us? But he's a two-way guy. It shouldn't be expected of City to play better than Chris Murray or Ryan Rupert, who were Blazer draft picks and on the roster. The problem is those roster spots aren't giving you enough, so then you have to rely on a guy like City Sissoko or Caleb Love to have an efficient night, which tonight he did. It helped the Blazers win this game, right? So this conversation is all in the total grand scheme of things, as kind of we're getting away from recapping what was an awesome win today. This is more so just the grand scheme of things and what's affected some of their prior losses. Like, you got to get some guys to do something. Like, Chris Murray should not be on this team next year, but the Blazers already picked up his option. Ryan Rupert should not be on this team next year. I don't think he will be. If those guys could do something, then it's easier to have somebody like Young Hansen, who you're developing, and a guy like Dame, who's out for the year. I don't think Duaparith should be on this team next year. The sooner those roster spots go to some areas of need, which right now is a point guard and corner three-point shooting, the better off this team will be, because I don't see a future with Duaparith or Chris Murray or Ryan Rupert playing a big part in this team ever winning playoff games. So essentially, it's what are we doing here? There's a number of guys that can provide you stuff in an area of need. You don't need 3 guys that are like defensive archetypes whose defense isn't particularly all that good and then don't do anything offensively. So it's just too much redundancy there that needs to be improved upon. That's going to be an area of judgment for Joe Cronin at this year's trade deadline, because this team might be healthy then and those guys might not be playing, but who knows when they have 3 guys go down with a calf strain in a week. Mm-hmm. I kind of expect that to happen. So you got to have reinforcements at the end of your roster that fill areas of need.
Well, here's the deal, too. You sign Dame knowing he's out for a year, which is fine, right? Like, you bank that into your plan, right? But if you have a rash of injuries on top of already wasting a roster spot, you cannot sit on your hands and then just be like, oh, well, we have a lot of injuries. You have to address it. And this has been one of my main problems with Joe Cronin. This team, if they just had these players that the whole fan base agrees, if they just had a point guard over that, they probably win a couple of games recently that they lost, right? And all of a sudden they're closer to 500 and closer to the top end playing spot instead of the bottom end, where you only have to win one game, or you have two chances to win one game instead of have a one win or go home, possibly on the road in the other spot. So yes, it's fair to say you have all these injuries, but when you sign Damian Lillard, knowing he was out for a whole season, if you had injuries on top of that, you had to have a plan to address how you would like keep this roster afloat while that happened. And you could argue, I guess, that they are afloat at 13 and 19, and they should start to get guys back at some point, hopefully. But yeah, as Nick points out in chat, they were able to trade less. They were originally giving out picks, second round picks in the Drew Anthony trade, and that his they flagged his medicals when they came back. So we already knew that he had some injury issues. We've known he's a little older player and is going to miss games this season. But when Scoot went down, we heard Joe Cronin on media day tell all of us that they are fine with their ball handling situation and that they think they're all right, right? That is literally what he told all of us, that they didn't feel like they needed to address it right away, or that wasn't something they needed to address because they felt like they had enough ball handling. And that has played out. They they must still think that because it still hasn't been addressed. And I would just love.
Let's just say this. He said that, and then all that's happened in terms of injuries to ball handlers is Drew Holiday, which you should expect him at 36. Like he's always like last year he was banged up with an injury that caused him to miss a little bit of time. Like you should expect
he wasn't going to play 82 games.
Yeah, you should expect Drew to miss time at some point. So if that's all it took from we're completely fine with our ball handling situation with Scoot out to like, oh, Drew's hurt. Now we have no single point guards. What can we do? Like, were you really counting on Blake Wesley that much from a ball handling standpoint? Like, he wasn't even really used as a point guard in San Antonio. Like, that could not have been the calculation preseason. So I kind of don't really buy those comments. I kind of feel like that was just GM speak, as people will call it. Because if you want to sit here and say it's a problem now, then you should have been worried about it before Drew got hurt. And that's the only way, like, you can have a consistent opinion in my mind, is if you were worried about it before, all right, yeah, okay, legitimate worry. But if you weren't, Drew Holiday was the only guy holding things together there, and he's 36 years old and can be a little injury prone.
And it's been like this going back to the last few years with Olshey, where we had, it was what, the 2019-2020 season, where after the Western Conference Finals run, where we're into the tax a little bit and we can't make a move once we start, Hood goes down and Scal goes down, who was playing minutes for us. We had a rash of injuries then, and we couldn't sign anyone because we're up against we're into the tax, and we're trying to like save money, not use money. And ever since then, we've been fighting this situation where we haven't done a good job of managing the salary cap. And this is why we harp on it so much during the offseason, when other places will tell you those guys are stupid for caring so much about how close they are to the tax line and things like that. And into roster spots or second round picks or all these things, they all add up to the situation we're in, where today's NBA, you just are going to have to deal with injuries, especially being a Blazer fan. I mean, you should expect Blazer injuries to ruin seasons, right? Like that should be built into your game plan. Is like, okay, at some point this Blazer team is going to get super injured. I think there was like one season in the last like 2 decades where we had like hardly any injuries, and it was just like such a weird season. But outside of that, like we always have injuries, so like that can't be the excuse season after season that we have injuries, especially when you sign someone to one of the precious roster spots to be out, you have to account for that. And I don't feel like they're doing a good job of making moves that could help them tread water when they easily could, in my opinion.
Yeah, they've just showed like a lack of willingness to shake up the end of the roster. I mean, this is what, year 3 for Reith, year 3 for Chris Murray, year 3 for Ryan Rupert?
Yep.
The only thing you shook up was like you brought in Blake Wesley, who did not help at all with your lack of shooting. Okay. But it's just like, why are they so averse to mixing up the 11th through 14th roster spots when those spots don't look particularly good right now? I guess, you bring in Young Hans and you let Delano Banton go, but then you get kind of a version of Delano Banton and Caleb Love on a two-way. But that's the thing, that archetype of player should be on a two-way, right? I just don't really understand the lack of willingness to shake things up. Like, I don't really understand, honestly, at this point, why Duop Reith is still here. I guess you need another big. But he can't even play when Robert Williams is out. You're playing Young Hansen ahead of him. So
Shady says if they would have kept 4 point guards, people would have complained. Well, if one of them was on a two-way, what does that matter? Like, I wouldn't have been like a point guard. And Caleb Love is like, I guess technically a point guard, but he just outside of one nice pass he had to Klingon tonight, like I don't think he plays like a point guard at all. So he's like a shooting guard stuck in a point guard's body. But
they had 2 point guards going into this year.
Yeah. 2 actual point guards, and so they didn't even have like a third point guard. So yeah. And Lazy Panda, knock on wood, brings up a great point. Denny's played every game. Imagine if he misses a game at some point this season. Like, we're so screwed right now if he has to miss a game, because he is basically holding this crappy end of the roster together.
Yeah. Yeah, I think to put a bow on this conversation, I don't think the Blazers have done a good job with their 11th through 14th roster spots. And I mean, even if you look at their 10th roster spot, how good is Matisse Thybulle as your 10th man when he's always kind of injured, How good is Robert Williams as your 9th man when you can't play him in back-to-backs? You only play him 18 minutes a game because you're worried about him getting hurt, and he's injury-prone as well. Like, that's not a reliable 9th man. Like, you go all the way through, Scoot unfortunately has, injured going into the season, and you just don't really have a lot of reliability on your bench, whether it's from an availability standpoint or from a offensive production standpoint. You got the guys that stay healthy are the guys that don't do anything, and then the guys that get hurt are the guys that like can kind of do something, I guess, but it's just not enough reliability beyond the like first 3 guys off the bench. You Scoot getting hurt, like, okay, that was kind of fluke injury, hopefully. But like, if healthy, you got Grant, you got Scoot off the bench, and then you got who am I forgetting?
I didn't hear who you named. So
I don't even know. Like, who's reliable upon that to stay healthy and to produce offensively? There's really nothing. Oh, Blake Wesley. I mean, he got hurt immediately, and he's not somebody that you can rely on to produce offensively either. You don't have enough offensive production that you can rely upon off the bench. I mean, even if Matisse Thybulle and Robert Williams stay healthy, like, those aren't really guys that you rely on for offense. So it just puts a lot of pressure on the Blazers' top players. And I'll say this, to get back to positively recapping this particular game, been really happy with Klingon lately, been really happy with Sharp scoring lately, been really happy with Denny all season long, and then Tamani steps up in a game like this, and then you just need one of your guys to step up off the bench and do anything offensively, and it's Caleb Love, and you win the game. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a testament to the potential of a core that includes Sharp, Avdia, Klingon, and Kamara. So, I'm really happy with those guys playing, but it took those 4 guys having really good games and Caleb Love having a good game and giving you 18 on a 2-way to win this game. I guess that's how it should be. The Celtics were 19-11 coming in, but that's just where you got these four guys playing this way, I still think this team is capable of winning games and winning some of the games that they've lost as of late. If you just had a little bit more reliability offensively from the spots that currently go to City Sissoko and Ryan Repair and Chris Murray and Duop Arith.
Yep. But also, like, so the length of these injuries.
Yeah, let's have this conversation to end off the stream. The freaking injuries, man.
So, okay, this kind of ties into the roster situation. All right, so we hear at the beginning of the year, Scoot Henderson out 4 to 8 weeks, right?
Before resuming basketball activities.
Yes, reevaluate or whatever they want to say.
Yeah,
and then you hear Drew Holiday 1 to 2 weeks reevaluated, and then he's out. You know, who knows how long. So my question is, because it seems like Cronin, like I mentioned with this roster situation, is believing those timelines, and that's why he's not making a move, because he feels like they're going to be shorter rather than long term. And so I don't get, if they're getting all this information, one of two things has to be happening. Either they are downplaying how long these injuries are, how severe the injuries are to the public, which is their right to do if they want to do that. But then I say, if that is the case, it goes back to, if you know these injuries are more severe than you're letting on, or that they could end up being longer than predicted, why are you not addressing it roster-wise to make up for that being a more long-term injury? And two, the other thing would be, if they truly believed these issues or these injuries were going to be lesser than they end up being, then that is a problem with their medical staff not evaluating these injuries properly and not giving them correct timetables to address the issues. So it's got to be one of those two things in my mind. And so if they truly believe Scoot was going to be back possibly in 4 to 8 weeks at the beginning of the season, and he's out several months without, like, obviously re-injuring it, there's no one that can account for that down the road. But then Jeremy, you know, is questionable for a couple games, and now all of a sudden he's just out days in advance of games. Like it's much worse. And then Drew's obviously is much worse than they first predicted. If it's consistently much worse every time, like, at some point you have to address with your medical thing. Stop giving us lesser timetables, and let's just over exaggerate these timetables so that we can go and address these issues. And if you happen to get guys back sooner, yay, we got someone back sooner. But, like, I feel like they're getting kind of tricked into thinking, oh, this guy might be back, I shouldn't make a move yet. But then Drew Holiday misses 2 months, and then you could have addressed that point guard need that whole time.
Yeah, the Scoot thing is pissing me off, man, because this is specifically what they said, okay? Scoot Henderson sustained a left hamstring tear during an offseason workout this week. He will begin rehabilitation and is expected to return to basketball activities in 4 to 8 weeks. They said this on September 26th. So, they said he will return to basketball activities between October 24th and November 21st.
That's a huge window, by the way.
Yeah. But it could, based on their timeline, it could have been as early as October 24th that he returned to basketball activities. It's December 28th, and we have no update that he's returned to basketball activities.
It's been updated that he has not.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it has literally been, how many weeks has it been? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's been over 13 weeks. They said 4 to 8 weeks is when he's expected to return to basketball activities. It's been 13 weeks. So there was obviously a setback. And they'll just, oh, he just hasn't returned yet. Like, I forget if I, like, missed something there, but it's just frustrating, man. It feels like it always goes this way with the injuries.
Well, there was that update when they said Drew was 1 to 2 weeks. They said something about Scoot then too. I think they said 4 weeks or something at that point. Gosh.
I need to find, like... Oh my god, they can't play defense.
Well, neither team can play defense in this game.
When was the last Drew update? Chat, please help us out.
I believe it was November 21st.
Yeah, please help us out.
November 22nd, there was an update.
Yeah, please read off that update if you have it in front of you.
All right. I think your phone's doing interference.
It is.
Friday, November 21st, Portland Trailblazers provided an update regarding 2 key guards. Scoot Henderson continues rehabilitation for a left hamstring injury and be reevaluated in 2 to 4 weeks. So that time frame has also passed. Drew Holiday sideline with a right calf strain is scheduled for reevaluation in 1 to 2 weeks. So which would be November 28th to what? December 3rd or something like that? December 5th?
Yeah.
Yeah, December 5th was the 2 weeks. So if you're just giving them the far end of those spectrums. So December 5th should have been the update on Drew. We're now, 3.5 weeks past that. And then the 19th was the far end of the reevaluation process for Scoot. And so we're, a week and a half into that now too, with no updates on either person.
Give us a freaking update, man. Just give us an update. If it's really bad news, I'd rather hear it than sit here and, Scoot's been out over 13 weeks now and still... At this point, I think it's 50-50 if he plays before the trade deadline. I think we're truly at that point where it's 50-50 if he plays before the All-Star break. There's just no clarity at all. And the timetables they give are just complete BS. You should never, ever, ever believe a Blazers timetable ever again. And at this point, Eric, we're starting to go down this road with Jeremy Grant.
Yeah.
He went from questionable for a couple games to now he's
with the sore Achilles to Achilles tendonitis now.
He's out, and he's out, and he's out.
Yeah. So Shady says, I don't know, I guess not having updates doesn't bother me. Okay. So it doesn't yeah, you don't care. But here's the deal. Once again, if the Blazers know it's going to be a long-term injury, that's fine if they don't tell us or keep us in the dark. But then make a freaking move so we have a point guard on the roster so we can't do this. But once again, I feel like they don't want to do that because if this season goes south, if they make a move and try to salvage it, or they have these injuries and they end up being long-term, like you said with Scoot, if he's out till the trade deadline, then they can always go back to Tom Dundon when he comes in and be like, dude, we were set up to have such a good year this year. And man, injuries just killed us. I feel like that's the only way they feel like they can save their job at this point. Because I don't know. I think Dundon's going to come in and clean house, but I think they're going to try to, we've heard that freaking excuse from Cronin, from Billups for 4 years now. I'm so sick of it.
Yep. Anyway.
Man, your phone.
Yeah, your phone. Yeah. It's just always how it goes. Comment says, I think we are physically tanking for next year. LOL, we're just going to be super healthy next year. I'm fine with that. Bet. I don't know what the rest of the comment means. I don't think they're making up injuries. And if they are right now, after the way they were like talking up this roster, like if they are making up injuries, why the hell did you trade for Drew Holiday and not flip him?
Yeah.
Why'd you trade for him to play him 12 games before you make up an injury? You know, it doesn't make sense. That's not what's happening here. There's an issue somewhere with the medical staff or the timelines they're giving out being not accurate, or setbacks or that aren't reported. This obviously is not right. And this organization has a history. I mean, it's through tanking purposes, but they have a history of being vague with injuries and not being accurate with their updates or their injury reporting. So the NBA is supposedly going to be making changes to this. Hopefully that means that we can maybe in the future get a little bit more clarity. Hopefully under a Tom Dundon-led organization, we get a little bit more clarity, because the lack of clarity is super, super frustrating. And I'm frankly tired of it.
Yeah, that was what says like with GP2. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that season was fun.
When was the last time we heard from Cronin on anything? Yeah, he only speaks when he has to. And every press conference is then met with, it's just GM speak. Like, he's not, he's just giving GM speak. Don't read into what he's saying. Like, there's just a lack of transparency that's super annoying and super frustrating from this organization. But that is what it is. Let's take a look at the standings and then wrap up the stream. I might have to update this graphic. Oh, I don't. Awesome. Beautiful. So take a quick look at the East. This is where we're at in the Eastern Conference. Not much has changed. Toronto gets a big win against Golden State. Boston loses. So Toronto is only a game back of the third seed. Orlando, a game and a half back. Cleveland continues to struggle, continues to play 500 basketball. It'll be interesting to see if they eventually make a move there. And then you got, for the last playing spot, you got Milwaukee, a game and a half down. They beat Chicago yesterday. Giannis dunked with 2 seconds left, even though they were up 7. He windmill dunked, and the Bulls were pissed about that. That was kind of funny. Any thoughts on anything going on in the East, Eric?
I will say, I mean, I do agree with the unwritten rule that, I mean, you shouldn't do that. We had that in the OKC series against us when the OKC, when they won the one game in that series, acted like they won the championship, and Paul George, I think, hurt his shoulder trying to dunk on that last play. That didn't even end up counting. But also, like, shut up if you're the Bulls too. Like, I don't know. I see both sides of that one. But I don't know. The East standings are pretty interesting. The Celtics obviously lose tonight. There's still so much bunched up. I think Detroit and New York are kind of, solidifying themselves easily as the top 2 teams. I wouldn't be surprised if those two flipped at some point. The Knicks have been playing really well the last few weeks. And the rest of it, though, man, I have no idea what to think of this race throughout the year. I did see someone I saw this hilarious tweet about Miami, Chicago, and Atlanta being in the play-in. It's like let's just like pencil those teams in every year, and like let's just call it the Miami, Chicago, Atlanta, and random 4th team play-in now.
Who was the 4th team last year? I'm forgetting.
Who was the 4th team last year?
Cleveland was the 1 seed. Orlando?
Was Orlando in the? I think
it was Orlando.
Were they the 7th? I think they might have been the 7th seed.
Didn't they play Cleveland in the first round? Who played Cleveland in the first round? No, Indy was not. Orlando. I think it was Orlando, yeah. Because didn't Orlando... My memory's not good enough. Didn't Orlando play Cleveland in the first round as the 8th seed. Miami played Cleveland. Okay. Wasn't Orlando the 7th then? Orlando played Boston? Yeah, Orlando played Boston. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's what it was. I think Orlando played Cleveland the year before that.
Yeah, they did. And lost,
yeah. So, yeah, but it's always those 3 teams. And it's funny having Milwaukee stare up at them. It would be cool to mix it up there in the East, but that's not going to happen. In the West, let me whoops, did I? Yeah, there we go. All right, in the Western Conference, this is the latest standings picture. You're starting to see Golden State in the play-in. It feels like every year, and Memphis in the play-in every year. But you got Portland there as that 10th seed. So they would get a play-in game currently, but want to try and get up to 8 to be in that 7-8 play-in game at least. And they are only 3 games back of Golden State with the tiebreaker because they're 3-0 against the Warriors. So they did gain a game there. They did gain a game on Memphis. But Utah is starting to feel like more of a threat. They just beat the Spurs, who, of course, have been playing great basketball, have won 3 games against the Thunder, so it's funny to win 3 games against the Thunder and then lose to the Jazz, but, that's the NBA for you. Anything jump out to you in looking at this standings picture, Eric?
No, just nice to get a game on some of those teams. If we want to stay in the play-in, right back at it tomorrow night with another big game with the team right behind us in the standings.
Yep, important game versus Dallas. That'll be on Peacock, NBC Peacock. So national television once again. Kind of nice that we get some of that this season.
7:30 game.
Yep. Anyway, those are the standings. Shout to Sleeper for sponsoring the stream. Right now, you got NFL season winding down. We're currently watching the Niners and the Bears, and then, of course, NBA basketball, college football playoff coming up middle of next week, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. They have all that action available on Sleeper if you want to put together a fun little parlay. You can mix and match sports. They have great promos where you can get, better odds or boosted odds on certain player props, and you can also get a free $20 deposit if you use our code Uprise on Sleeper. And you'll also, if you want to put money in, you can get a 100% match up to $100 that you put in. But that free $20 entry, no deposit required. You don't have to put in any of your own money. You get a free entry so you can have some fun without having to put any of your money down. And see if you like Sleeper, see if you enjoy it. I play it. I need to do more pick stuff this year, but I've played it in the past back when I was in Oregon all the time, so I do enjoy their app. Shout out to them for sponsoring the stream. Eric Olson, I'll let you know. I've just been putting that off. Anything else, Eric?
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in tonight. I hope you have a great rest of your night, great day tomorrow, and hope to see you back tomorrow night after the Blazers hopefully get their second game as many nights.
Yep, we'll have that, and then they play OKC, and that'll be a New Year's Eve stream, so we'll have some fun on that stream, and hopefully you guys can make it for that one. Leave a like on the way out of here. Easiest way to support the stream. Subscribe if you're new. The Blazers get a great win in Boston to move to 13-19 on the season, beating
at home.
A good win against, that's what I meant to say. A good win against Boston in Portland to move to 13-19 on the season. The Blazers get good games from Klingon, Kamara. I just keep watching the Niners defense get gashed over and over and over and over again. It's kind of pissing me off and distracting me from my outro. Good games from Tamani, Klingon, Sharp, Denny, the Big Four, if you want to call them that, step up today. Tamani with a good second half. Caleb Love with 18 off the bench to give the Blazers a spark because nobody else is willing to give it to them. And the Blazers have some good defense in the second half, holding Boston to 45 second half points. That's a wrap. We're out of here. We'll catch you tomorrow on that post-game show. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.